Welcome to my fun flower a month painting project. For a year long, every month on the 15th, I'm going to release a video, a template sheet like this with the inspiration flower, the template for you to trace, and what mine actually looks like. It's this one. And a paint along video. So you can follow along with my steps. You can do whatever you want, change color, change greens, make more than one, make only one, make five, make whatever. So it's going to be very optional, however you want to use your flowers that I'm going to give you. If you are new to painting with me, there's a couple of things I just want to share how to trace. The very old-fashioned way I like to do things is I flip it over. I kind of want to see where my flower is. Sometimes it is a little bit easier if you just cut it out. Let me just do it from this side. Cut it out so, it's a little easier to follow along. So small, flip it over, use a pencil, so not a mechanical pencil. And make sure you can see how rough my paper is. And you can also see how I kind of, by accident went on there. So change direction. It needs to be like a medium pressure. Place it down. And then you want to use a mechanical pencil to trace it. If you do not have a mechanical pencil, it is not the end of the world. You can just use your normal pencil. I do like a mechanical pencil because they never get dull. You just push the button and the lead come out and it's just easy. But it's definitely up to you. There is a couple of ways for you to do the flower. Option one is you follow my video where I'm going to show you how I got these results. You can follow along, or you don't want to do that. You just want to use the outline and do your own thing. That will be great too. And the more you play with them, obviously, the funner it will be. Okay. So this is how you can transfer ready to paint. No need to make it darker as long as you can see what's happening, because afterwards we always want to erase our pencil lines. So this is how you get the template down. Then I'm going to use, there's a couple of brushes. You can go, this is the one I normally use. So I always use my pinky, and it's kind of like I have a pinky, maybe a little bit less. And then I have two smaller ones that will just help me to get into little details if I want to. But if you only have one paintbrush, that would be great too. I like to use the tube paint, paint tubes, the watercolor paint tubes, and I just put them in my paint palette. I prefer to have a big space where I can mix, and you can see I never clean mine, so I can just mix along over here. I have a towel that I can just suck up my water, clean my brush, and a cup of water. That is not so clean anymore, but a cup of water. So that is what you will need to do the project. Now, if you do not like watercolor, you can just use the outline and use whatever else you want to paint. It's going to be great. If you want to use the pen method, and I'm going to quickly just demonstrate painting with me or just kind of doing a little thing like this, whatever you want to use. I do prefer the Sharpie pens. I like the point, and I know they are permanent. Make sure that you have a permanent marker or pen that will not run when you paint over it. I like to do my pen first, and I kind of do the sketchy lines. Not really perfect, more like a idea. I cannot really see my pencil line, so now I'm just gonna make it up. Do a little bit more relaxed. I mean, of course, you can go in and trace it all specific. If your hand gets cramped and then you are pressing too hard, so don't do that. But this is also a fun way to use these flowers. You can kind of give them a little sketchy idea. And if I can just give you a zoom in, you can see what I mean. By no means is it any perfect. It doesn't even want to zoom because it's so out of focus and not perfect. So by no means do you have to make it so perfect. I know for the fact that I can now paint over and nothing will happen because I use these Sharpie pens. I can also immediately erase, and I know I will not smudge it to just get rid of some of those pencil lines. And then sometimes if you want to do this, a bigger paintbrush is a little bit more fun because you cannot really control. Or if you want to make it wet and then drop in color to get a fun kind of flowy effect. So this is what the flower can look like if you follow my directions, my paint along video, or you can do something like this. And adding a little bit of a yellow to the tops. And you change your peony any way you want. This method makes it also really easy to not paint. So if you may be new to watercolor or maybe not sure if you are not so familiar with, or if it's hard for you to do the more detailed. And then I'm just gonna come with some greens. Because you also have the outline, there's no need really for you to do shadows and highlights because the outline is going to help you so everybody will see. If you paint wet and wet together, just know that it can flow, so you may run into a little problem like right there. I'm going to do a little bit of blue. You can paint over the outside of the lines, and then when you get to the cutting out part, I like to leave a little edge. I call it the bubble cut. The white edge, number one, gives you an immediate like a little like a highlight outline, like a little protective white rim, which is pretty. But it also helps you for not trying to cut so precise, because you don't have to go in all the little, you can just make a little bubble around it, and it will be making cutting out, especially with some of the flowers I have in mind, a little bit easier if you have the bubble cut. Another thing that that you may consider doing for all your flowers, because you're going to have a whole bouquet, is having a container to keep them in, like a vase or something. So I'm just going to cut off this flower like this so it can dry over here. So this is going to be the first flower, a peony. This is going to be more or less the size of most of them. And you can adjust, of course, enlarge it on your printer any size you want. They're more or less all going to be more or less like this. So think of 12 flowers. You can also, when you cut it, they can obviously come a little over the edge on your vase. So think of a different or a fun vase, and just know, like with everything, you can change your mind. So what if you made a vase in January and by February or March or April, you're like, that is not a nice vase, then you will just change it. So keep in mind that this is one, there's going to be 12 of them. I'm going to make a vase kind of like this. I'm going to give a little smiley face kind of like that. I'm going to come down. And I will give you these templates. I will have a few different vases in, just in case you need help. Sometimes I have to turn it around and do just a better smiley face from the top, or rainbow. Actually, this is more a rainbow. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I think it could be cute if you have a little ribbon coming from here. And then I'm going to paint it. For this one, I'm going to use a bigger brush just because the space is so big. Before I start painting, I want to just erase a little bit of my pencil lines, so it's a little softer. And then my flowers are going to be very colorful. So maybe your vase wants to be very muted colors, like maybe gray, bluish color. So using a lot of water, pushing it especially down, leaving your highlight areas here. Blend it out. And like I said, if you make this vase and by June, you don't want to look at this vase anymore, you make a new one. We can do what we want always. At the bottom, you may want to drop in a bit more color, so where it's touching makes a bit of a shadow here and here. Because it's wet, it's going to flow. Do a little smiley face right there. And fill it in. So a bigger brush often just helps you to not try to paint very precise. This is a little easier. I have a white area and I'm just going to switch to a bit of a smaller brush. So I can just add in between. I'm going to add a little black line. I'm going to be careful not to touch either side unless I want to wait for it to dry because it may come a big blob. So I'm just painting in between. So I'm going for a slightly smaller brush and I just want to give a little line and I just let it touch over here. And you can always, oh, and I let it touch over there too. Never mind. Touch it, not touch it. It will still be cute. I'm going to let it dry. I'm going to cut it out. I'm going to mount it in some way. So every month I can just stuck in my flower. I will share. I haven't thought of that yet. So I will share by the 15th. I will have a plan. When you buy the second flower, I will have a plan. Oh, it is still wet, so you can see how it can run. So a couple of things again. I will put some links on the page for paint, different size of paint brushes, medium, smaller, water cup, the towel, you need a good scissor, pencil, and that's how you want to transfer them. You can do it either way. Maybe I can quickly show you. This one is dry. So when cutting out, just leave a white little edge. It makes it so easy. I always point my brush to the front, not my brush, my scissor, and then I turn the paper to get the different shapes. And then you can just cut out. Okay, so email me, text me, call me, do all the things if you have any questions. But I will see you every month on the 15th. And you will get a little flower. And in the end, they are so cute. They're going to be amazing. And you can reuse the templates and you can rewatch the video and you can do all the things to have them available for you to do many projects with. I'm just trying to cut out as fast as I can so I can show you. Bubble cut with pen. I like how it looks. So there's 2 different ways. Or 3 or 4, I mean, but there's a few ways to do the flowers. Have fun painting.